Cheers and good afternoon, everyone. I know I said no briefing today, but I just couldn't stay away. So, what I'm going to do here is kind of as I prepare for these minutes, we're just going to do it live. It has been a really good day of trading so far, as anybody who's been involved can see, which is a nice change of pace. I have personally not been involved because I was waiting for these minutes. So, what I'm going to do now is just kind of go over what I'm looking at. My first trade cannot be until 210, so I'm not really worried about what happens in this first 10 minutes here. So I'm just going to kind of look at the big picture and starting with the document here, warm-up document. Okay, so we're just going to start from the beginning. I'm not too worried about the overnight inventory and all that, so I'm just going to ignore that. I will put that up there later just for trade log purposes, but really it's a catalyst filled day. So we'll just kind of look at this for the purpose of figuring out, second here, got to sign in my other account, figuring out kind of what to look for as the minutes are released and we move from there. So they're out, impulse move is up. Again, I'm not worried about it until 210. So let's just kind of look at how the day has elapsed so far. So I'm going to start on the execution chart, which is a little different than normal, and just kind of look at the first 30 minutes of the day of the RTH session to get an idea of what the auction looked like at the open, and then we'll fill in everything else. So overnight, obviously, it was another one of those flat nights. No surprise, given the fact that it was ahead of big news today. So if you look at that overnight action, just to fill it in here, it was neutral, and then we had the up move, obviously with the release of the news, and by RTH we hadn't quite retraced all of the move, but we traced quite a bit of it. So my opinion, or not my opinion, really what that's telling us with the inventory is it was up, but it was balanced. So up and balanced, nothing crazy there. First 30 minutes of the day, I have to check it out on this chart. So you can see it's 201. They're reversing it a little bit, 201 Eastern, and they're reversing it a little bit here. So um, still ignoring that. I'm still just looking at that first 30 minutes. Looking off to the side here, by the way. That's why you don't see anything clicking on the chart. Okay, it looked like another one of those open rejection reverse bearish. By the way, so I'm going to move back to this screen. As I always say, you can click on the links here to see exactly what each open means. So same open as yesterday, that open rejection reverse with the bearish sentiment, but not that open drive. No surprise again, very chop filled day. I'm not really going to bloviate on this section of the pop-up briefing here too much because it's kind of self-explanatory. So popping up to the TPO, so everything's out of order because again we're doing this live. So on the execution chart, really just remains watching what happens. We're outside this bull flag, still looking for those fake breaks. For me to take a fake break today, we're going to actually need to see quite a decent move from these minutes to the upside. So it looks to me like potentially won't be a minutes trade just based on the movement so far. So I really need a big extension to either side. I'm not going to get involved in the middle here. But yeah, so just filling this out, looking at the TPO here. It's a tentative double distribution, actually quite an interesting TPO. So we did clear out this the poor low and the single from the overnight, so I'm going to go ahead and merge these. And you're kind of seeing kind of a normal variation type look if you ask me. So as we do this live, I'll show you what I'm looking at for TPO. Again, click this. that shows you the shapes. And if you go to the routine trading document here, you can check out the actual TPO sheet where I get everything from. There's plenty of links and stuff here to look at. I'm just going to kind of scroll through. It caught that trend look caught my eye at first, so it's kind of looking like that. And we are above that bull flag, but the directional confidence just wasn't there. You saw it at the open. Is that open rejection reverse to the bear side? That to me kind of negates that trend look. So obviously none of the traits are really applicable to that. So it has that nice little look, but you don't have the traits. It's not double distribution, obviously, and so it leaves us to kind of look at it as normal variation. But again, early activity less dynamic than normal. IBR was quite decent today. Let me tell you exactly what we had for that IBR. So 61 to about 40, so 20, which is double yesterday. Nothing too extreme, but hey, we'll take double yesterday. So just go ahead and fill that in. It'll let me. Oh, I'm not signed in on this computer. So you're going to see it coming in here as I do it on this computer. Okay, got that IBR at 20. Still trying to kind of figure out what's going on with this TPO. Almost got to think rotational. I think I'm going to have to go with rotation. It's really not as wide as normal, but we are in a lower VIX. So kind of what I do to check that after I look at the various profiles is I click that little tab there, which I can't do because I'm not signed in this computer. But I promise you it's there. I'm looking at the other computer here. You're not seeing that trendy activity, maybe uncertainty. So one could argue it's kind of that neutral profile and um, potentially normal variation depending on how these minutes go. But again, to me, we're really almost at a perfect 50% retracement on the day. Look at that. So you're not seeing that trend to one side or another, and therefore a wide range as price moves with speed and aggression away from extreme seems right. You could probably argue about this, but again, it's one of these fairly random news days, so I'm not too concerned with being 100% accurate on that TPO, and we'll adjust that if that changes. So then just moving down to the technicals there, I'll do that outside of the briefing. There's just no point wasting your time with that. So it's kind of looking at these key levels, and what I want to bring your attention to is those SPY levels. So remember those SPY levels there, and they're on this document, which you can access in the description of this video if you want to see them there. These levels are from yesterday, I know, but it's the same levels today. I'll update them slightly after the briefing here, just in case anything happens intraday, but I really think it's going to be more relevant to tomorrow. But yeah, so I'll do that after the briefing. Let's look at exactly what's going on the macro view with those SPY levels. Okay, this is our macro chart. It's another outside bar. So yes, that implies that the Bears are winning this battle, but I think really the major thing that happened today was you saw that four. Let's get the exact level. I need to refresh my memory here. That 412 level. It's actually not an exact level, but about 412. You saw them pierce the top of that zone there. So this resistance to me is going to go, and it's going to just become a component of that high of day. So in fact, we'll just move that up there. So we'll eliminate some of the supply. Again, touching the underside of that trend line from the October 13th low. Really key, and I think it's only fitting that that becomes kind of the major level looking forward for at least the rest of the week. You'll notice the difference in this from yesterday is I did draw a couple gaps above with two new pretty arrows. So those gaps are going to be, I'll get the exact numbers here, like I said, for the document. I do not think those are in play today. That's closer. That's about 121 and a half and for let's say 25.75ish. I'll get those exact levels after the briefing. Put them in the document. But that was really a pretty good unwind for the bulls. So maybe it's a liquidity grab. Maybe we do see that this outside bar follow through. with the bears kind of taking over here. Let me just check again. Oh, okay, we haven't moved. Um, or more than likely, I think as we especially try to navigate this distribution here, I'm watching for that 406 level to be tested. So we'll look at volatility here in just a sec, but once we do get through 406, again, it's where the arrows are pointing, 50 SMA, first immediate gap, and then possibly lower there. I almost favor a test of that gap there and then a bounce back up, but I don't think we need to crystal ball this. Just kind of watch those levels. So that new level is going to be somewhere around 414 and then 406. So um, retest of the other side of that trend line, again successful. The bulls have, as of yet, failed to knock that out. I think you do see that breakup and dare say trend if we conquer the high that we put in this morning. So that's what I'm looking at in the macro view. Let me just zoom out again just a little bit so you can see this profile. So once we do pop above that high, a little time and volume, I think we start to fill in this void and move towards that 4200 strike pretty quick. So it's only about 20 points away once that happens, and I think you'll get there lickety split, maybe near that 420 on the SPY. Obviously watching this outer band of VWAP, but just to reiterate, because that was I think more information necessary. 414, 406. That's what I'm watching on the macro view. Everything is just kind of noise in between. So as we go toward that low this morning, I do think there's a nice play there. So I'll be looking at uh, that morning low and make sure overnight low didn't get any lower. Yeah, that morning low for a potential play toward that 406 area. So I guess we'll put another um, not going to put a pretty breakout line, but just kind of note that low that we put in this morning. Okay, so we'll take one more peek at the TPO and then we'll look at volatility and see what that's got going on here. So TPO still kind of showing that rotational look. If this starts to fill it, it moves to neutral, and I don't think that would surprise anyone, um, given the fact that we have moved like a 10-point range in these minutes so far. So seems that most of the fun was this morning. Let's see if volatility reflects that. It does. So what's going on here in volatility, very, very important. You made, let me get a little ellipse here. You made that lower low from February with that move this morning, and right now you're kind of seeing the underside of that trend line. You're seeing consolidation around the underside of that trend line, and really no speed or aggression away from it. So this look definitely favors the bulls, especially if we close below that low and make a new low. Uh, I don't have any lines below this because I think once we lose this, it's just becomes a extreme downtrend confirmation. We'll say in the VIX /VX until this level is recovered. So this is a really important level, 2050 on the /VX. That's really kind of the main thing I'm watching for sentiment. Obviously, as those of you I talk to most days know, I have been pretty bullish since that October 13th low, and I think this will kind of, especially if it coincides with a break of that high that we saw this morning and a pop above that trend line, quite a bullish move in the market. So this is definitely the most bullish thing of the day, and I think this is the most important component of the homework that I've seen. I've been doing it live with you. Um, go ahead and leave that ellipse there. And what happens around here in volatility? So what does a pop look like to be in volatility? Well, we get above 21 again, make that double bottom look, and perhaps we'll get something going there. But right now we're just kind of losing that trend line. This is, I believe, called a descending wedge. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it's looking good for the equity bulls from there. So I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna update that warm-up document, uh, set some alerts for a trade. But for me, just to go back to the execution chart, this is not tradable. So what I need to see is a new extreme created one way or another, which is going to be a 30-point move in either direction. So we'll see if that happens. If we don't, just kind of end the day consolidating around here. Potential bullish look, like I said earlier, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this horizontal, is if we do have a nice end of day rally here and pop that high from this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and move this up. So that was so this morning's trades are really quite beautiful. Perfect fake break. I don't take trades this early in the morning, but you can see a textbook example again there. Popped the high, closed inside, red candle, made a lower low, boom, went right through, was good for. So I think I did. Let's see, I did do this in the sim. So let's just go to that sim, and technically I'm still in that position actually, but you can see the order fills there. Let's see. Move over here, get rid of yesterday's action. So 61.50 all the way down to that POC of the prior day distribution, about 39.25. And then the runner's still going, so actually I move this down. That'll stop out at 61. So that's just that trade from this morning. And really, actually, now I look at it, you had a perfect fake break on the other side. So this trade, let's get rid of these order fills. I'm going to go ahead and flatten out. I was in the garden, so I could not manage actively, but you saw that perfect fake break on the other side. So you would have gotten out on this candle here. Once we accepted back into value, you would have gotten out at about 36, and then you'd be going the other way. You have taken your first contract off at about 45, and you'd be hanging on from there. So this morning's trading was beautiful. Two perfect fake breaks. I just categorically on these Fed days wait for Fed to come out, but I mean, hey, you can't ask for a better day than that already, which is why I suspect that the fun is over because when you get two perfect trades in a day, usually the big boys are happy to uh, let the power hour people come in and eat up the scraps, which I will not be involved in unless we get a move to some extreme. So that's kind of what's going on with me. Like I said, for the fifth time, I will update that warm-up document, and we'll be back tomorrow, normally scheduled program. Stay classy until then, and enjoy